I want to thank the City of Lakewood for letting us speak anyway on this program that we're talking about, the Enterprise Zone. Just a show of hands, how many people are familiar with Jeffco EDC or maybe have worked with Jeffco EDC before? Great. Well, so this may be helpful a little bit. So just a little bit of brief on who we are and what we do. This is our team right here. Myself, Lee, and Jansen. I'm the Director of Existing Industry, so I spend most of my time doing business retention, and what that means is we talk to businesses within Jefferson County, try to understand their needs and connect them to sometimes the SBDC, sometimes they're expanding, and so we have tools to help them see what kind of footprint is out there if they're interested in expanding. Lee Seeger, our VP of Economic Development, she primarily works on the attraction projects. Give you an example, a couple years ago we had a company from Boston. It was a manufacturer of medical manufacturer of hips and shoulders and whatever. They were looking for a Western presence. So Lee worked with them to basically sell Jefferson County to them. Ultimately that business did come to Colorado. They went to Arapahoe County. In large part they said, why is your airport so far away from where you're at here? So obviously we didn't have anything to do with that. And then Jansen Tidmore, our president and CEO, he does spends most of his time advocating for businesses here in Jefferson County. So we have a lobbyist at the State House and attends many meetings speaking either in support or whoops, you're okay there, or in opposition to programs that are going on at that point. So I think I'm primarily here to talk about the Enterprise Zone. When we get done, if you want to talk more about Jeffco EDC, I'm happy to talk to you about that. Just to give you a little bit of background on that, the Enterprise Zone are state-designated zones that are out there to encourage economic growth. They are defined through census, our census data, so census tracts, census blocks. And it's from that data that we determine how they qualify, is if within that block they have either higher than state unemployment, a low per capita income, or low population growth. And so within that area, that's why you'll see where the spots here on Jefferson County, not all of Jefferson County is covered. We have, of all the zones that we have access to use within Jefferson County, that would put us at a population of around 350,000. The Enterprise Zone program is capped at 115,000. And so working with the cities and the other folks here in Jefferson County, we define these zones primarily in commercial areas so that the businesses can take advantage of that. I am the administrator for Jefferson County. There are 19 other administrators throughout the state. So if you have another location in Denver or Adams County, you wouldn't be working with me, you'd be working with another administrator. And the zones are designated for every 10 years, of which we are at that 10-year period. And so we are going through the process right now, working with the state and the information they have to possibly redesignate some of these zones. For the most part, most of them will stay. There's some areas where you might guess that the population growth is big. Yes, Marcus, I'm sorry.
So if you have businesses or maybe a tract of businesses that were just adjacent to it, that the store would get right outside the zone, could their business contact you and see if they could be included in the zone?
If in your example, the business is sitting in a census block that doesn't qualify for any one of the high unemployment, low per capita, and low population growth, they would not. So there's nothing that we can do to within this program to help them. There's lots of things that we'd happily work with that business to help them out. But since this is state designated and legislated, we often get some businesses that are sitting just right across the street and their colleague on the other side is in the zone and they are not. it's an unfortunate situation in that case. Yes?
I'm sorry, I just want to clarify. So the zones are qualified by a formula based on the census tract.
Correct.
And then from that, the county shapes which ones will be the focus areas for a 10-year period. Is that?
Within, yes, and so then we go back to the, yeah, and so we're in the process of them, what is going on right now is they've sent us all the data for all of the zones. Some zones that have been in the census tract no longer qualify, so they just automatically are saying you're going to lose that zone. But here are some other zones that do qualify. In some cases, some of those zones are completely residential, and so maybe it doesn't make a sense, and so we'll take those out and we'll manipulate
And
that.
the population cap is per zone, or is that total for Jefferson County?
Per county. So we have 115,000 that we can do within the county.
And those are
Denver, yes.
okay.
Denver County has that as well, or Adams County, any of those other counties will have that same cap within their county. And so we're right now, we are at, before we redesignate, I think we're at 110,000. So we're right up at the cap. When we look at all of the zones that they've given us, that's where we've got, it's like 380 is the total population, and we have to make sure it's down to 15, which we'll have that. So we're in that process right now of looking at those zones. And for the most part, most of the zones in Lakewood will not change. So that's any helpful. So what happens if your business, and the large part of this is the business address just has to be in the zone. That's all that you need to qualify. If your business address is in that zone, you will qualify for up to 9 different tax credits. There's a 10th one that's with the advanced manufacturing that really isn't a tax credit, but part of the advanced industries program, but I'll show that later. When I am receiving most of the requests from businesses that have signed up, we will typically only get 3 or 4 of these tax credits that any one business will use. The ones that are popular, I thought I would highlight those. So the new employee, so if your business is in the zone and you're looking at hiring a new employee, you would receive $1,100, or the business would receive $1,100 per new employee as a tax credit. And so I've seen some large, or some businesses with large hiring requirements take advantage of some good tax credits that way. The job training is one that some use. That's 12% of eligible job training costs. That becomes a tax credit. Research and development we don't always see. Building rehabilitation, that's an odd one in that the building has to be 20 years old and has to have the entire building has to be not occupied for 2 years. So sometimes you'll get somebody that has a corner office and the rest of the building is unoccupied. That disqualifies that building. The other one that's really used a lot is the investment in business personal property tax. That's 3% of any, so those are new machinery that you might have, new computers that you might buy that you're going to amortize over more than a year period. That's 3% of that, so that can be pretty significant. This is the advanced industry investment tax credit that I said has been added on. If that's something that you think you qualify for, please reach out and I can work with you on that. So those are, again, those are different ones. Manufacturing, we probably don't have a lot of mining in Lakewood or in the county itself. So we don't see that one a lot. But so those are the different 9 tax credits that you can achieve and receive when you sign up for the program. To determine if your business is in the zone, there is this website right here, oeditcolorado.gov, Enterprise Zone Program. When you go to that, there's an interactive map. And in that interactive map, you'll see, I just put in where we're at today, 480 South Allison. And a dot will end up in one of these colored spaces. So if you put your address in and your dot lands within the colored space, you are qualified to receive those tax credits. And so let me go there. And so what is the process? First, you need to create an OEdit account to get your username and password. That usually takes 2 days once you go to that website. So the website that I previously showed you back here, on that site, there's a little button that says apply for tax credits. You click on that. It'll take you to where you can create an account. Once you receive that information back, you need to pre-certify, and this is really important. What sometimes happens is I'll talk to a business, and let's say it's a manufacturing business, about this program. They say, yeah, we'll get to it. They don't get to it. They get ready to buy, $100,000 worth of equipment, or they've already bought $100,000 worth of equipment. They call me up and they say, hey, Dave, aren't we in that zone that we can take advantage of that 3% of that 100? Because I'd really like to take advantage of that. I said, did you pre-certify? And they say no, and that will automatically disqualify. So you have to pre-certify before you make any of these purchases, before you have any of the expenses. What I encourage everybody to do is pre-certify at the beginning of your fiscal year. For most people, that's January 1st. If your calendar year is a fiscal year, if you're a mid-year calendar year. And you can do that 3 months prior to your fiscal year starting. The other thing about pre-certification is you have to do that every year. So if you do it the first year, you'll have to do it the second year and continue on. So you'll pre-certify. That will get you, once you receive that approval, then all the expenses moving forward to the end of your fiscal year that qualify within the tax budgets, you'll capture those, and at the end of your fiscal, let's say it's a calendar year, coming January sometime, you'll submit a certificate application, which says, we've hired 4 people, so we're getting $4,400 in tax credits. We've purchased this amount of equipment. We've made some training. That will all calculate itself for you in a tax credit sheet. Once you submit that and we approve it, you will receive basically a PDF that says XYZ company has $20,000 in tax credits, and you use that against your state income tax for your business. The good thing about this, sometimes I talked to a couple entrepreneurs earlier today. They'll often say, they sit in this enterprise zone, they've got a lot of expenses that qualify, but they're revenue neutral. And they said, Dave, I'm not going to be filing any taxes because I'm either revenue neutral or I'm not making any money at that point. The good thing about these tax credits is they last for 3 years. So if you aren't making money today, but you're planning, looks like you might be making money, next year, then those tax credits that you accumulate can be used in next year and the following year.
And they sell a tax credit?
They don't have an opportunity yet to sell those tax credits. There is another program that is a CHIP program that you can actually receive money back for. So that's all I have. It's as simple as that. It doesn't cost anything to sign up. That's the one thing that people often ask. And I am here always to help out anybody else as you go through this process to work on getting those tax credits for you. Does anybody have any questions? Other questions? Sure.
Real quick, is this slide deck available on your website, or?
I could give it to Maggie and she could send it out, or if I can give you my card and you reach out to me, I'm happy to send it to you. Yeah, send those to you. Yes, sir.
In the equipment side, it's only new stuff that qualifies, correct?
Stuff that you purchase after you pre-certify.
Understood, but it's only new stuff, not used stuff.
Would you? I think you could buy something. I think you could buy something new. I think that would qualify. Yeah. Okay. It's just the equipment and the cost of the equipment. So yeah, I don't think it matters whether it's new or used.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes.
When will the zones be confirmed for the next studies?
So our process is May, we're collecting all the data from the state, still needs to get us some data. June, we'll have conversations with all the cities, explain, see where those are. July, we submit our the zones that we want, and then I believe then it's in the state's hands to confirm that, and I think that gets them to the end of the year before they confirm. So we would start in 2026 would be the new zones. So what I would encourage everybody to do is, if you're sitting in one of these zones, is to at least pre-certify. It doesn't, you aren't penalized for pre-certifying now and never using the program. But, as I said, what often will happen for me is we'll talk to a business about that, they don't pre-certify, and then some event happens that they could receive some pretty significant tax credits. And because they're not pre-certified, they just won't qualify at that point. So, yes.
You said you guys offer consulting services for someone looking to set up manufacturing. I'm not there yet. I'll do that.
We can do that. We probably would refer you sometimes to the SBDC. Oftentimes, someone like yourself, a business, is looking for, everybody's always looking for free money, right? I mean, everybody wants money, grants or something along those lines. There is some programs if your bank, is not willing to give you that commercial loan. There's other programs that will. They typically want some kind of business plan. That's when we usually send them to the SBDC. They will help you get a business plan, and then there's others that will help you. We can help you find square footage. We just helped a startup manufacturer that was looking for 20,000 square feet, had 2 dock doors and various things, so we can identify those areas. There's lots of things we can kind of either point you in the right direction or help that way. So yeah, if you grab my number, or I'll find you after this, we're happy to help. One thing we don't have is money. So we don't do the grants, we don't give away. But we know we can find people that maybe will have it for you, or tax credits or certain grants. OEdit has some grants that can be utilized as well. Yes.
These are only for the state tax credits, right? Not federal.
Correct. Yeah, it's just a state tax credit. There are some federal programs out there that you can utilize, so we could always help you, connect you to that if you're interested as well. There's a new economy tax program. We'll see if it's still available, but yeah. So, anything else? Well, thank you guys very much. Again, come find me if you're interested in this program, and I can help you get set up and get you some tax credits. Great, thanks.